So if you can't tell, this I guess will be our unofficial Halloween episode with Kate the Sloth. Say hi, Kate the Sloth. Does Kate the
Hey.
Sloth speak, or does she just do like mascot waves? How does that work? Wow, you don't have to see her face, and she's silent. This is great. Oh, I've got the screenshot for this week's episode.
There we go.
So another 10 minutes with. Thanks for joining us today. Kate the Sloth. I don't know if she's going to take her mask off or not, but whatever. So we're joined here today. Really appreciate our guest jumping on. The original guest scheduled for today actually was sick and had to cancel on us. And our guest, Ed De La Fuente, the owner-operator of the Itinerant Fan, has joined us today. Ed, welcome to the show.
Thanks, DJ, for having me. Good to be on. I'm glad to be a member of Stadium Scene. I've discovered a lot of great content on there, and so it's nice to get to know you guys better and to be part of the network.
Appreciate it. Say hi to Kate the Sloth.
Hi, Kate the Sloth.
Hey.
I should wave so that you can actually see.
Oh, we're gonna just go. Let's whatever. We're going with it.
Yeah.
It's Halloween week, so the Itinerant Fan. We were talking before. You said that you've been running this show or this site for about 10 years now, and you've been you've some people have some issues with it. Can you tell us a little bit about like why you started the site and how you came up with the name?
Yeah. So my thing ever since I was in high school or even earlier than that. I've had a fascination with stadiums and arenas, and seeing them on TV. I've always been like, I want to go there. And so I think with a lot of fans, as they grow up and they start traveling and going to see games, they start going, it would be cool if I could go to every ballpark in the majors, or if I could go to every NBA arena, or whatever their passion is. So my goal became to see every stadium in each of the four major leagues. So baseball, football, MLB, NFL, NBA, and the NHL. So, and that includes. I should throw in the caveat that so Madison Square Garden, you have to see the Knicks and the Rangers in order to count two. You can't just say one and then say count them for both, right? So that means currently
you have to go to the Staples Center 3 times.
That's right, and I actually have never been to a Clippers game, so I can't count it for all 3. So,
But you are in the LA area, yet you have not been to a Clippers game.
I have not been to a Clippers game. So, I have not been to a Clippers game at Staples Center. I went to one at the old LA Sports Arena back in the day.
Okay.
Which was kind of a dome, but anyway, so that was kind of the genesis of the site, was to chronicle that, because every time I went to a new place, I would write about it. I have a writing background. I have a journalism degree. I was a writer for a few years. I wanted to chronicle that, and I thought it'd be fun to start a blog. This was like in the semi-early days of WordPress and all that. So so I started the blog, wrote about it in I wanted to just write about my own experiences, but as I went along, I realized, if I could actually inspire people to take their own road trips, maybe the site could be worth something and we could actually help people. So that's like the new stated goal of the site, is to help kind of inspire people to take trips of their own and to do it. And I try to give my experiences to show people, hey, if you always want to take that road trip, here's how you can do it. Here are my experiences, and here's my quest to see all of the major stadiums out there. And if I can help other people do that, then I feel like the site is achieving its goal. Now, I called it Itinerant Fan. It was originally called The Itinerant Fan, but I always say, I joke I have something in common with Facebook, because at some point I dropped the. And so it's now just Itinerant Fan.
Kate's not old enough to remember the Facebook.
Yeah, I know. But
Kate, were you a mascot at
and
one?
Then
you got the whole thing down very well.
it's kind of distracting, to be honest. But yeah, I chose the name Itinerant Fan because I was gonna choose something like Traveling Fan or something like that, and I was like, that's kind of bland, and so I chose Itinerant. But over the years, I've discovered that a lot of people either don't know what itinerant means or don't know how to spell it. So which presents a problem when people when I say, yeah, my site's called Itinerant Fan, and people try to find it, they don't get the URL right, and then that's it. Then I lose a page view right there. So if I could go back, I would probably try to choose something a little simpler, easier, that rolls off the tongue. But at this point, it's been around long enough.
See, the
How
way
do you spell itinerant?
Itinerant. Like I've typed it a million times, so if I didn't know it by now, I'd be in trouble.
what we've actually noticed with sites where the spelling may be a little bit long, there's a running joke with Dick's Sporting Goods. The dicksportinggoods.com is really long, but for the longest time, if you went to dicks.com, it took you to an adult website. But at some point, not too long ago, they ended up getting that back.
Yeah.
So you hear of all these people that, hey, I went to dicks.com and it wasn't a sporting goods site. But what people do, I've noticed, is they'll buy a short URL, or they'll do like a vanity URL where, like, I don't know if a .fan exists or something like that, or they make like it.fan or something like that, and it just forwards to your site. And that way you got a short URL to give to somebody and make it easier to spell. So that definitely is becoming more popular for people that, like, maybe my domain is a little too hard to spell. But
I want to shorten. The nickname for the site is iFan. I always I wonder if Apple will ever come after me for that. But as far as I know, they haven't marketed. They haven't made a product called iFan yet.
Not that I'm aware of. They may have the trademark on I at this point.
Yeah. So, but I thought about that. I thought about that as a vanity URL or something. But
there you go.
Not quite there yet. I just I'll roll with itinerant for the time being. We'll see if demand calls for a shortened URL.
There you go. Kate the Sloth, I believe you have a question.
So what is the typical experience that a new reader will read?
I apologize for this. This is so stupid. All
right.
Did you even understand the question?
I think it was something to the effect of what would a new sloth who visits my site, what would they expect to find, right?
Yeah.
So I write a lot of guides to all of the stadiums and arenas that I've been to. I try to detail the entire experience. So I think a lot of fans do like to know before they've gone to at least I like to know before they visit a stadium for the first time. How do I get there? What's the parking like? What's the public transportation like? What kind of food is there to have? What are there obstructed view seats? So I try to get into all of that in my guides. I have guides written for each of the major stadiums that I've been to, and then also guides to cities. If you've never been to Pittsburgh, I'm throwing Pittsburgh out as kind of a random. And I'm going, hey, I scored tickets to see the Steelers game, but I've never been to Pittsburgh, so what is there to see? So what museums are there? What do you want to eat? There's a sandwich, they serve a sandwich out there in Pittsburgh, they put fries in the sandwich. What the heck? If you don't know that, here I'm letting you know that that's something you can experience in Pittsburgh. So
shout out to Manny Brothers.
Yes.
Yes, we're very familiar.
Yeah, cool.
They actually copied that at outside of Wrigley Field. There's a place called Lucky's Sandwich Shop.
I've been to Lucky's.
Yep.
Yeah. Lucky's is awesome. I have a friend in Chicago who he forget what he does. He helps distribute liquor around the city to restaurants and stores and stuff like that. So he's a fun guy to hang around.
I like him already.
Yeah. And big Malort fans, so he'll talk your ear off about Malort.
Delicious.
So, but things like that. And then I write about my own experiences. So a couple weeks back when the ALCS was down in San Diego, the ALDS, they weren't allowing fans into the stadiums, but there was a hotel across the way that had a rooftop lounge, and they were allowing people in. So I went down to San Diego, stayed at this hotel. It was a Marriott, and I'm a big Marriott guy, so that part of it was easy. And then I went up to this rooftop lounge and watched the game, and watched as much of it as I could from my vantage point, and wrote about it. So little stories like that. During the pandemic, I've had to get a little creative about some of the experiences, because I don't want to, it's been hard to say, hey, well, we can't go to sporting events right now, so let me shut down the blog for 6 months. I've tried to be active as possible, writing about my experiences, writing about past experiences, looking back on things that I've done over the years, and hopefully that provides inspiration for you for 2021, when hopefully we'll have full stadiums again. It'll inspire you to say, hey, I want to go do this trip that I've been wanting to do for years. I've been wanting to see my favorite team on the road. I want to give you that inspiration. I'll use that word over and over again, inspiration.
Awesome. So actually, we're gonna have to introduce you. I reached over to my bookshelf. We'll have to introduce you to our friend Mark Darden, who he actually wrote a book. He went to every single major league ballpark in one season.
Oh wow! Okay, I feel like I've heard his name.
Yeah, he goes his company or his group or he has it's called Buckeye Muscle.
Okay, yeah, I've seen him on Instagram.
He tells all his stories about how he went through the cities and he goes through like the logistics and goes through and puts like a budget in at the end, and how he got very creative with Megabus and Greyhound and various public transportation. So yeah, he's definitely a guy we need to introduce you to. So
yeah, definitely.
Piece of advice that you learned since you've started your site that you'd share.
So I think the big thing, and this is something that I only started doing in the last couple of years. I'm almost ashamed to admit it, that I thought this whole time, all I had to do is write the blog, create content, and publish it, and people would find it. And I have discovered over the course of time that Google doesn't work that way. Google won't just take your content and put it in a place where people can see it. And if you don't share you're not vocal about sharing your content on social media, or just simply talking about it, or putting it somewhere where people can find it, you can't expect people to find it. So starting a couple of years ago, I really started refocusing on, not am I writing content that I would consume, but am I writing content that would be helpful for other people? And I actually started talking to people. Hey, can you look at my site and see, is this something that would be helpful to you? And I got some good constructive criticism off of that. Actually started focusing on SEO, which sounds dumb for a blogger who didn't really care about SEO to hear. It sounds dumb to say that now, but I didn't care before. Now I care a lot. So. So I think the overarching piece of advice I would give is, if you're trying to reach, if you're trying to find your niche and your audience, really focus on getting it there. And it's not just about writing good content. As a writer, like, that pains me to say, because you think the writing is, if you produce good art, like, people will find it, right? But it's not. But you have to find that audience too, and there's a bit of marketing involved in that, and there's a bit of technical savvy involved in that. You have to know a little bit about social media, about SEO, and all that. And in the last couple of years, once I started focusing on that, it's actually made a really big difference. So much so that I was like, what the hell was I doing the last 4 years prior to this? I wasn't even thinking about this sort of stuff.
One of the things we noticed too that you take advantage of, that I know a lot of our blog partners don't, is Pinterest. And there's the stereotype that Pinterest is for women and sharing recipes, and it's so much more than that. And that's just, you couldn't be further from the truth. Pinterest, like we publish our work onto Pinterest, as you've probably seen.
Yeah.
It is a great source of traffic to your site. It is you put a good engaging image, which you do a great job of that. Put that on your pins, good hashtags, people find your pins. It's free traffic to your site. Like it's so much more effective than Facebook or even Twitter for that.
Yeah, well, the thing I didn't understand. So I'm one of those people who was like, I Pinterest, like I don't understand. I didn't understand it. And I'm not going to sit here right now and say that I really fully understand it. But I read somewhere an explanation that like really hit home, and that's basically is that most users use Pinterest as a visual search engine. It's like Google results but with images.
Yes.
And once I heard that, I was like, oh, okay. So I stopped caring about, well, am I crafting the message? And it was more about, okay, have good images here, be concise about what it is that the pin's going to be about. And I was like, whoa, this actually works. You should see my graph of my analytics graph. It went whoop like this. And I was like, whoa. And then I actually started paying for a few promoted pins, and that worked too. And I was like, and I tried not to go overboard with promotion, but that actually, like, yeah, I would say Pinterest more than any other social network actually drives traffic to my site. It's kind of amazing to see.
Another fun secret about Pinterest that a lot of people don't know is that if you share a link to your YouTube, like if you upload a video to YouTube and you put in the link, the YouTube link, it'll actually put the YouTube preview as a pin. And actually people can watch your YouTube videos directly from Pinterest. So you are building up your YouTube views from your Pinterest account.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible. I mean, it's a very, very powerful tool that and people are clearly using it. I mean, we're seeing thousands of hits on our pins every month, and I think it's really underutilized. It's a great source of traffic.
Yeah, I want to. I definitely, even over the last 6 months or so of discovering how powerful it is, I probably still don't utilize it as effectively as I could. If I concentrate on them, because I have weeks where I just put up pins every day and I see the effect, and then there are weeks I just completely ignore it. Last week was a week where I just completely ignored it, and then after a week I'm just like, I need to get back to making more pins for Pinterest. So but even sporadically like that, there's a huge difference. So imagine if I could do, and there are bloggers out there, content creators who put up several pins a day, and they see like huge numbers off of that.
And you also need to be saving other people's pins to your boards. You can't have it one way. Kate the Sloth agrees. Yeah, it's got to be a two-way thing. Otherwise, you're not going to get the full influence and the full traffic out of it. So
yeah,
there you go. There's
I do that. I do that a lot. Sorry, I do that a lot with travel bloggers. There's so much good travel content out there, but I've discovered there's like not a lot about stadiums and arenas. So the ones I do, see, I try to pin them and promote them. I mean, I like to be good about like lifting other people's content up if I think it's good. But yeah, I think there's kind of a gap in sports content on Pinterest. I'm interested in seeing like in the next year or so if more sports content creators are going to start using it, because I think it's super powerful. I mean, and you just slap the logo of a team, or like the Wrigley Field marquee or something that's like instantly recognizable to sports fans, and that's like automatic pinnage right there. Is pinnage a word? I don't know.
I mean, even a good hashtag, like one of our top individual pins that we see, it's just the podcast logo from one of our partners, but they put a good hashtag in there for one of the Liverpool FC players, and this pin, which is just their podcast logo, every month gets hundreds of views and saves alone, just off of just a good hashtag with it, which is amazing to me.
Yeah, definitely. It's powerful, and us having this discussion right now actually reminds me, like, I kind of slipped up in my Pinterest right now, so I better get back to it.
So go ahead and start wrapping this up. Ed, where do you find your site? Where do you find your social media?
Everything is Itinerant Fan. So I have Facebook.com/Itinerant Fan, Twitter, Itinerant Fan, Instagram /Itinerant Fan, and of course Pinterest. I am probably more active on Instagram and Pinterest than the other two. Though I'm hoping to get sort of a more consistent use out of each of those. And I actually had plans this year to start a YouTube channel with videos of each of the stadiums I visited, and you know how that went with
Yeah.
COVID. So
Not so much.
I'd like to get there eventually, but you know, you probably know that with YouTube you can't create your own channel with your own name until you get to a certain threshold of subscribers. So like, one of these days I would like to get to the point where I have enough subscribers that I can have a YouTube channel, YouTube/Itinerant Fan. But one of these days, that's my next mountain to conquer.
Okay, so Ed, thanks again for being on the show today. The site is the Itinerant Fan.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Thanks for having me, DJ, and Kate the Sloth. Again, I appreciate your support and you know, helping me discover good content too. So thanks for doing this.
So thank you very much. So, and again, for for our work, it's stadiumscene.tv. Join the network. Give us a follow at Stadium Scene on Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, at Stadium_Scene on Instagram. And maybe Kate the Sloth will be back next time. Maybe not. We'll see. So we'll see you next time.